Hey everybody, Mike here with my spoiler-free review for Transformers 1. We're going to start out with the spoiler-free one, and then in a couple of days I'll probably be releasing my spoiler review. Going to give, a few more people the chance to see it. We are going to have some advanced screenings that are, I think, on the 14th, and then they're going to have fan screenings like a couple days before on the 17th or 18th or something like that. So you're going to get a chance to see it most likely before the official release date on the 20th. But the review embargo is up. I ended up seeing the movie in August, so very early. It was about a month before the official release. And I gotta say, guys, I absolutely adored this movie. It was fantastic, not only as a Transformers fan, but it was just a good animated movie overall. It was, I wouldn't want to say everything I could hope from a Cybertron focused Transformers movie because, as a big fan of the Transformers War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron games, I did like the bit more serious tone that those had. But this, definitely dives more into a family friendly film while still having serious elements. Like by the end of this movie, it does get very serious, and there are things that happen where you're like, oh wow, they're pushing the limit a little bit. But a lot of the movie is not like that. But that's not to say it's not good. Like it's such an enjoyable movie. There you can tell that the people who worked on this film really understand what Transformers should be. There were so many moments in this movie where I'm like, that's Optimus Prime. That is who Optimus Prime should be. That is the epitome of what Optimus Prime represents. And it was just so great seeing that. And it's something that I felt was kind of lacking in Transformers Rise of the Beast. I felt like he kind of had that character arc where he had a real disdain for humans and he was kind of just a grumpy old man kind of, which is kind of contrast to what we see in the Michael Bay movies. In the Michael Bay movies, there's a lot of the whole like, oh, murder Prime and let me take your face. But still felt like the essence of Optimus Prime was always still there. He was always that, terrific leader who always had hope. And yeah, he kind of like got down in the dumps a little bit, but it's because he had been through so much. We were seeing him at the very end of this war. But this is an Optimus Prime that is at the very beginning of not even the war. The war is not happening yet. This is just Orion Pax. He works in the mines with his friend D16, and he's just always very optimistic, very, very caring, very hopeful, and it's kind of cool to see that. And it's portrayed very well in the voice acting with Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth did a terrific job as young Optimus Prime or Orion Pax. And it is a bummer not getting Peter Cullen in everything that we can get him in. At such an old age that he's at, I kind of just want to see as much of Peter Cullen as possible. But this is probably the best Peter Cullen-ish Optimus Prime that I've seen from someone so far in an official capacity. Like, we've seen so many Optimus Prime voices that are not Peter Cullen. This is the one where it's like, okay, it's not Peter Cullen, but dang, it's close, and dang, it's good. And I really commend Chris Hemsworth for the work that he did on this movie. Going into the environment and the visuals, it just looks beautiful. Cybertron looks amazing. It looks alive. I really liked how they borrowed from War for Cybertron with, Evan, this isn't a spoiler because it was in the clips and stuff. They borrowed from War for Cybertron with the roads and the highways, about how they transformed as they're driving on them. And I think that's just so cool. I always love that part of War for Cybertron, and seeing that inspiration taken and used in Transformers 1 was really cool. And I love the upside down buildings underneath the surface and the contrast of what below the surface looked like compared to above the surface, where the Transformers are like, oh wow, there's grass. There's like, what is this stuff? Because they had never been on the surface before. And it looked really good. I know some people have an issue with the faces of the Transformers. I thought in the movie itself it looked really good. It kind of almost looks like Transformers Prime in a way if you kind of compare them side by side. So it didn't bother me at all. And I think it worked for the type of animation that this movie was. I would like to see maybe some concept art of what some other versions of this might have looked like. But I thought that it looked very good in the movie. As far as character development, but with D16 and Orion Pax and kind of seeing them build to who we know them, like the Transformers that we know, with as Optimus and Megatron. I think that for the most part it was done really well. I do think that there were some things that could have lingered a little bit more, and we could have stayed with them in some certain moments of the film just a little bit longer, kind of get in their headspace a little bit more to see that little bit more growth. However, it was still done well. Uh, if we just had those couple of extra moments, I think that would have been beneficial, but it's not like it detracted from it at all. Um, Optimus, like I said, there were so many moments of this film where it's like, wow, they, the director, the writers, they truly understand who he is as a character. And seeing the downfall of D16 from him being, just like, Orion's friend and this fairly optimistic guy, and just kind of seeing him tumble toward Megatron was really cool to see, and I think it was done very well. And then, of course, we have Elita 1 and we have Bumblebee. I think Bumblebee was terrific in this movie. He would not shut up, and they kind of make jokes about that, so that's always fun. Um, and Elita 1 was a very good character. I think Scarlett Johansson did a great job, and it's an Elita 1 that kind of is not quite the character that we're used to. A little bit more headstrong. And it worked out really well with the dynamic of those four main characters. She was kind of the one that was like over a lot of the crap that Orion and D16 were up to, and especially B127 or Bumblebee. And it was just, it was really, it was there was a good group of main characters to choose from. And of course, we have, I'm not going to go into it in this video, but we do have some Transformers that appear as some smaller cameos, which is really cool to see as well. So I'll talk about that in the spoiler review. But even those like little instances of these characters popping up, they took their small moment and it was done well. Like, especially, I'm gonna mention this one character because it is known. I do have a YouTube video talking about this character, about how they were revealed in some promo art, and they do appear in a clip. But so RC has a very, very small role in this movie. She is not with the main cast at all. She's just very much a side character that pops up a couple of times. And I think that RC is just such a delight. Her voice is great. I gotta double check the voice actor's name, but she did a terrific job with RC. And it was really just delightful seeing her show up. And then also John Hamm, speaking of voice acting, an incredible job as Sentinel Prime. Like, he did. I don't know if John Hamm has done any other voice acting besides this. I'm sure he has, but he really nailed Sentinel Prime, and I just gotta say he just did such a terrific job. Shout out to him, just incredible. I loved him as Sentinel Prime. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the Transformers lore. Obviously, I can't talk about this too much because of spoilers, but just the lore that they took different pieces from different shows, from the movies, from the comics, just and taking like just these bits and pieces of different parts of Transformers media and putting them into this movie. It was fun as a fan, kind of seeing them take these different pieces and then working them in. There were even some moments where people had mentioned things after I had seen the movie, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't even notice that until you brought it up right now. So there's so many things that Transformers fans can spot, so many characters that we're gonna be screenshotting and pausing this movie for months once it comes out on digital and Blu-ray, because there's I'm sure the Easter eggs are just insane. There's just so much on screen happening, especially with the Iacon 5000. There's just so many Transformers on screen. I'm sure there's just a ton of Easter eggs. So seeing all the lore and the different aspects of that was super great to see. Lots of references, and it's just one of those things where the fans are going to be able to spot those things, and the general audience is just going to like not notice at all. And it's just cool to spot those caring details when the filmmakers put that stuff in there. And it's not like a Deadpool and Wolverine cameo fest where they're obviously trying to grab for the nostalgia. It's just like perfectly placed into the movie. It's not a big deal, and the fans will spot it. Instead of like something like Deadpool and Wolverine, where it's like, oh look, it's this character that's from a different universe. Oh look, cheer. Not like that at all. So that's really cool. I do think the movie could have been a little bit longer. It's only like an hour and 40 minutes. It's not long at all. It's definitely on the shorter side of things. And I do think that they could have taken what I said earlier about taking those little moments and making them last a little bit longer, kind of letting it settle a bit, kind of lingering a bit on certain scenes. I think that could have been useful, and especially because this is a shorter movie, they could have used that extra runtime to take those moments. I know Josh Cooley said that they wanted to, or that not that they wanted to, but they removed some stuff like Megatron's rise in the gladiator pits and Optimus and Megatron starting out in different spots. Like they both weren't minors. Like Optimus in a lot of media is either like a cop or a librarian, and then Megatron is in the gladiator pits. And they kind of put them together in the mines because of runtime and tightening the story. I do think it was a good decision to make them both minors. I do really think that was a good decision. I would have liked to see maybe some gladiator stuff that could be used in a sequel, probably, come to think of it. They would have had to rework the script a little bit to make that work. So I get it. It just, as a Transformers fan, it would be cool to see the gladiator pits and Kaon and all that. But it works. It's not like, oh well, that was a bad decision. It totally works within the story, and I totally get it. The final act was amazing. Like the way it all culminates together, and the way the action just heats up at the end, it just makes you wanting more. And it's one of those moments like, oh no, the movie's coming to an end. No, don't say it so, because it's just like the way the music kicks in, the way the themes kick in, the way the character development, comes to that climax. It just really works as a movie, and that's so great to see. There were I don't cry in movies. It's not because I'm like, oh yeah, I don't cry. It's just not something that naturally happens for me. But I do get like that choked up feeling sometimes if something really hits. Like I get that feeling in my chest. That happened like 3 times in this movie for me. Twice, actually no, all 3 times, because of what I was watching made me feel whole as a Transformers fan. And I hope that feeling translates to the general audience. I do think there's going to be 1 or 2 of those moments where it might hit with the general audience, but as a Transformers fan, just watching those 3 moments, and I'll dive into this in my spoiler review, it just was like, this is our like Spider-Verse. This is our just amazing, character-driven, caring Transformers movie. Like they really get it, and I am a huge fan of the Michael Bay movies. The Michael Bay movies are what got me into Transformers. And gosh, I'd love Michael Bay to come back and make another movie with like Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox for the nostalgia and all that. But just seeing this movie and the care of these characters and just the focus that they put into so many different things, that they really did their research. They knew what they were doing. They were fans of the franchise, and you can really tell in that. And it was just so heartwarming to see these characters treated in a certain way and the plot treated in a certain way. And I got to give a shout out to Brian Tyler, who did the music for this movie. He, of course, did the music for Transformers Prime as well. His music was... There were moments in the movie where it really hit. And especially in like some emotional moments, which I'll talk about again in my slower review, where the music just really drove home the feelings that you were supposed to have. And that's always great when the music can do that. And I think Brian Tyler did a terrific job. I was not in love with the main like single of the movie. You know, of course, the movies started out with Linkin Park, and then we had Imagine Dragons, and then we had, I forget the one in the fifth movie. To be quite honest, I've kind of wiped that movie from my memory as much as possible. We had Haley Steinfeld do the theme for Bumblebee, and then of course we had the one for Rise of the Beasts as well, which, dang, the name of it just escaped me. But that one's actually a pretty good one. I like that one, the way it was incorporated into the final battle. I will say that the music is not used within the movie. It's just the end credit music. So when that music started playing, it kind of felt a little off. Like, it should have just been, I don't know, maybe just more orchestra music in the end credits or something. I wasn't thrilled with the song. I didn't think it was amazing, but that was like the only thing as far as the music goes. I think the rest of the score was just simply incredible. Loved it so much. I could just like talk on and on about how much I love the music. And then finally, the one last thing I want to talk about is the comedy in this movie was really good, actually. I was a little concerned when the first trailer came out. I'm like, oh, is this going to be just like Marvel humor all the time? The comedy was actually really good. The audience really enjoyed the comedy. It was... They really nailed it. I don't know if there was really any jokes that just didn't land. I thought everything was pretty funny. It wasn't overdone too much. And then by the end, when things get serious, they take away the comedy. They don't pull like, the Marvel humor where it's like, oh, this is a really heavy moment. Oh, let's throw in a joke. It didn't do that. It saved the comedy didn't save the comedy, but it left the comedy for the beginning of the movie. And then once things got really heated up toward the end, the comedy was gone. And of course, maybe cracking a joke at the end of the movie because, we have got, victory and success and all that, but and the pressure is lifted off the characters, but the comedy was done really well, and I really commend them for kind of nailing that, because you don't want to ruin serious moments with comedy, and this movie did not do that. So I really think that Transformers 1 deserves a nomination at the Oscars for Best Animated Picture, and I say that completely seriously. Like, this movie deserves a nomination. Now, I have this movie, I've seen a lot of movies this year. I have Regal Unlimited. I see movies at least once a week. This is currently sitting at number 3 of all the movies I've seen all year, behind Dune and Inside Out 2. So I say nominated for an Oscar because I really do think that Inside Out 2 would beat it. They would get the Oscar, but I do think Transformers 1 should at least be nominated. It needs that nomination, and it truly deserves it. So, as far as a score, I rate on a 1 to 5 scale, and as a fan, I'm going to be honest, it's a 5-star movie as a fan. I love it. Of course, like I said, there's a different vibe of this movie that I would have truly liked to see as a fan, like all the serious Fall of Cybertron vibes. But as a Transformers fan who goes into this movie knowing exactly what it is and being the more family friendly but serious tones as well, this is just truly like a 5-star experience. Like it's so good. As a critic reviewing a movie, I'm going to give it a 4.5. I have been able to see it twice, so I've gone to 2 early screenings. I really took in all of the like Transformers fandom, feeling in the first time I saw it. Second time I saw it, I was kind of able to sit back and kind of, review it as the film that it is, and it's a solid 4.5. Maybe if I was being technical, maybe like a 4.25 out of 5. Just such an enjoyable movie. Really loved it. If you're a Transformers fan, you're going to have a great time seeing this. Go see it in IMAX 3D. Go see it in 4DX. I went to see Twisters in 4DX recently, and the Transformers 1 trailer played before it, and they had the 4D effects going. Oh my gosh, everyone was cracking up because it was so fun. So I want to check it out in 4DX and IMAX. I highly recommend you guys do as well. This is a movie you want to see on the big screen. You want to take in just everything it has to offer and just have a great time. And I hope you all enjoy it when you get to see it. If you've seen it already through advanced screenings, let me know what you thought of it in the comment section down below. Please keep it spoiler free for those who have not seen the movie and are coming here to kind of just get a vibe check about how it is. But please let me know what you thought of it in the comment section. And again, just truly love this movie. Great Transformers. Love the experience of being able to see this animated movie in theaters. I just loved it so much. So, again, make sure to leave a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe for more. And until next time, I'm Mike. See you guys.